First, let's get you some news that's developing down south. Shocking images out of Bengaluru of the New Year's Eve, which has gone very wrong. A night out for hundreds of women on 31st December at MG Road and Brigade Road. The heart of Bengaluru turned into a nightmare when they were groped and molested by unruly men. Despite police presence, hooligans started powing, molesting and passing lewd remarks on women on the streets, forcing them to run for help. Molestation was brazen, in the open, and the police, outnumbered by thousands of revelers on the street, policemen could do little about it. Ironically, police had opposed the extension of the deadline for celebrations up to 2 a.m. Now, despite photographic evidence of the shameful ruckus, Bengaluru police has failed to register a single case till now. Let's cut across live to Bengaluru from Nolan Pinto is joining us now with more details. Nolan, this is shocking, from a city which actually is a sort of a cultural melting pot as well, especially for young people working there. Have women actually come ahead to register formal cases? What is the police saying?
Well, let me put it this way. Every year, every New Year's Eve, this is the same situation. The police will request actually most of the party goers, especially the women, not to come towards Brigade Road. They say go to Koramangala, go to Indranagar, because the crowds are not unruly over there. Very decent crowds. But Brigade Road, MG Road junction, that particular junction is the part where you have people in their thousands coming over there because, one, you don't have to spend money. Two, you just come, you yell, you scream, you whistle. You just have fun. But what really happens over there is that most of the people get drunk and come over there. Now, 1,500 police personnel were deployed, 60 CCTV cameras were installed. But when you're comparing 1,500 policemen to thousands of drunk men, it's just impossible for them. And the police know about this.
Right.
Each and every year this happens, like I mentioned, but they have not been able to actually manage that. And very clearly, this is what happened, and happened not at 12 o'clock, not at 1 o'clock, but during the time when the people were the party goers were actually asked to head out of the pubs, get back home. This was closing time. The people over there who had come to party, that is outside, the drunk men, that is when they see the women coming out, they start acting, crazy.
Okay, Nolan, just stay with us. I'm also joined by women's rights activist Pramila Nisargi. Mr. Sargi, what do you think is going wrong here? This is just huge, shocking, embarrassing for not just the city of Bengaluru, but for India and Indians alike. Whom do you blame for all of this?
I blame the society itself. See, society has not learned the lesson. We got the constitution as early as 1950. We had the Republic Day, we had the Independence Day. We thought that after getting a constitution where freedom is guaranteed, and Article 21, right to life is guaranteed to women, and that to right to life to live with dignity, that is taken away. Why should we have the constitution at all? If women are not allowed to live with dignity, then it is unnecessary for women to live at all. I'm ashamed of Bangalore, and I'm ashamed of the administrators who are running Bangalore administration. Be it the police or be it the government, both have failed women at large. So look at their image. People are invited, saying that we are going to provide law and order. Come and enjoy the day. But at the same time, allow the bars to open, allow them to drink, then make them to fully drunk, and then come and behave in this manner. Why should we have that at all? At least some areas should have been prohibited area. I can understand people can enjoy, but you can't say that you drink and dine, and then how do you explain them to ask them to keep them under control? When they're fully drunk, do you expect that they can control themselves? It's not possible. So they must know how to manage the entire affair, and they have...
Mr. Sargi, are you saying that the solution here is alcohol prohibition? Because, it's not like just men drink. There are women to drink, but it's not necessary for people to get drunk. Having a drink is different from getting drunk. So should police act here on photographic evidence?
Can you show me one instance in the entire CC footage where women have fallen on men? Kindly show me. All the instances we see in the footage, CC footage, is that men have been molesting. But it is not that. It is not that drink is prohibited or anything else, but you must know the behavior. The mindset of men, they are waiting for an opportunity for a year like this. On 31st evening, they think that they can have a sadistic pleasure. That is how they are doing it. And the police are silent spectators. 1,500 police. What for? Why should they be there at all? They are guilty of criminal negligence. They have not taken any action. No case is registered. No action is taken against any one man who was fully drunk or who was misbehaved.
Okay, Mr. Sargi, we thank you. We appreciate you joining us with your perspective and your take on the story. But joining us now is, in fact, image guru, Mr. Harish. Mr. Harish, Harish Bijur is on the phone line. Yes, Mr. Harish Bijur, how do you see, these images that have come out of Bengaluru, a city which is supposed to attract people, young people to come in, work, earn their living, attract investors? How do you look at it?
Bengaluru is a growing city, and I think, we have come to a situation where we have become a very mixed city with mixed population. And the population of Bengaluru wants to go out and celebrate on the arterial roads, or the Brigade Road and the MG Road. What has happened is certainly, condemnable. Because, this is not the way to celebrate. This is complete debauchery. And I think this kind of debauchery does not become of Bengaluru at all. And I think the entire city is ashamed of this.
So, where do you think this, or most of the times when you have such mob incidents, mobs work on the concept that they can be faceless. But when these kind of evidence emerge, what do you think should the police action be like?
I think one of the important things to understand is that, we are a CCTV city, for sure, as far as Brigade Road and MG Road is concerned. I think the police department needs to pull out all of it. And we have a new police commissioner, Mr. Arvind, who was taken charge recently. And I think it's only right that the CCTV footage is pulled out, and tracing people is not going to be difficult. And an example needs to be made of these people who have tended to turn hooligans on New Year's Eve.
So would you say that this is like such a huge setback for a city that promises to be progressive, that, this is a city where women really cannot step out of their homes on an occasion to celebrate?
I would put it this way, that we have started 2017 on a bad note, a wrong note, and Bengaluru has come in the limelight for the totally wrong reason. But this does not mean that all of Bengaluru is like this. I mean, this representation could possibly be wrong. It is totally condemnable. But I think, Bengaluru is far beyond all of it. And I think, the city needs to go further and beyond.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Mr. Harish Bijur, brand guru, joining us there with his perspective on the story. Clearly, these are shocking images that have emerged out of Bengaluru on New Year's Eve. Nolan Pinto continues to be with us. Nolan, could you also tell us, when this entire thing was playing out, it got ugly. Did it last for an hour? What really happened? Did police start lathi charging? What kind of preemptive action did the police take, or did they remained mere silent spectators?
All this would have taken place in a matter of just about 10 to 15 minutes. Now, this is the time when pubs inform their customers that it's closing time, please leave. 2 o'clock was the time given, 2 a.m. So they actually asked their customers to leave by 1:30. Last order 1:30, please start leaving. Now that is when the trouble takes place, that 1:45 to 2:15, they start coming out, the men over there, some drunk, some not drunk, some from the slums. They see the women, they start to behave indecently. Now the police did actually manage to control them at times. They had to resort to lathi charge in many places. Many other places, the women actually ran towards the police seeking their help. Now, we must remember, the crowds were not too much at that particular point of time, not thousands, a few of them, but those few men actually created this ruckus and gave a bad name to the city.
Okay, but what is happening now in terms of, is there any legal action that is being contemplated by the police? Now, what are they doing?
Well, the police clearly stated that, yes, they received a lot of calls, but none of the calls were for molestation. None of the calls were to complain about molestation. They had calls regarding inquiries, they had calls regarding traffic-related issues, but none of the women actually went forward and complained. Now, this is what the police say. If they have not come forward and complained, who are we to take action against? But many people in Bengaluru are saying, you had 60 CCTV, 60 surveillance cameras over there. Utilize those images, use those visuals, find out who these perpetrators are, use your sources and take action, because once you take action, then the others will think twice before trying to do anything like this.
No, and also, clearly the police is trying to take a bureaucratic approach here, saying that, let the complainants come out first and then only we will act. This, of course, is questionable, but at the same time, is this a sort of a notoriety that this place has claimed over the years? Is this regular, these kind of brawls on all such occasions?
I've been there for the past 6 years, every New Year's Eve, and after 12 o'clock, not 12, say about 12:31, closing time earlier, this is what exactly happens. The women come out, the men do this, they molest them, they tease them, they pass lewd comments, the police go on a lathi charge. So this happens every year. Now, every year in the morning we ask the police commissioner, we ask the DCP in charge of the area, that's Bangalore Central, this happens every year. What are you planning to do this time? They say that this time around, we have taken all measures, nothing will happen. And we see the same thing repeating. So year on year, the police have seen these incidents taking place. And, well, it looks like they just don't want to do anything about it. They can stop people from coming over there. They can do something, but they're not willing to do so, mostly because of the presence of a lot of hotels and pubs and liquor joints in the area who actually put pressure on the government to keep it open and extend the time.
You know, so in this case, Nolan, of course, what happened, it's hugely shocking, and it clearly goes on to show that even today, there's just so much of societal mindsets that, women, especially in India, have to fight. Having said that, in terms of the civic bodies in Bengaluru, we were just speaking to the brand guru, Mr. Harish. He seemed to suggest that Bengaluru has to spread beyond. Are there civic issues of planning related to these problems as well, not simply a law and order? What are the civic bodies saying? Are there NGOs or civil society people who are thinking about these issues?
They have been talking about this every year before Christmas and before New Year's Eve. You have a lot of these NGOs who utilize social media, especially as of now, Twitter, Facebook, through WhatsApp messages saying, you know what, don't go to these places, they are dangerous. Rather, why don't you have home parties? It's much more safer. Or why don't you head back home earlier before things get unruly? Or why don't you go to other places, like I mentioned earlier, Koramangala, Indranagar, these are new hotspots in Bengaluru. A lot of youngsters. No unruly crowds. Brigade Road, MG Road has this charisma over here that you have to be there to actually understand what it is like celebrating New Year's Eve in Bengaluru. So you have everybody in Bengaluru from the length and breadth spread across coming over there, and this is what happens. And the police, they can actually bring in a large number of personnel. They can deploy a large number of personnel over there. What we feel is the biggest issue over here is, even though you have these huge crowds, if the police are in huge numbers, no one will dare do anything.
Right, we leave it there, Nolan Pinto. That was an absolute New Year's Eve horror for women on the streets of Bengaluru, a city that promises, of course, to be much more liberal for the younger crowds. But, this is a city that continues to shock year after year, especially on New Year's Eve. It almost sends out a message that women should be restricted to certain parts during celebrations. A very complicated issue there that involves law and order, to societal mindsets, to police action as well. We are running into a quick break at this point on the broadcast, but there's lots more lined up for you. Remember, 2 historic decisions that have also come in from the Apex Court in the field of elections to cricket. Continue to track those stories on the other side.